All right, so I'm a car dealer, and this is Nate. He's my sales manager, and today we want to talk about what customers, the mistakes they make when they come in and try to negotiate with us on a car. So one of the things that I've seen a lot of customers do when I've dealt with them when I've been negotiating is that they'll say, "Okay, can you take $200 or $300 off the car?" And I'll say, "No, we're firm on our price," and they'll immediately say, "Okay, I'll take it." So the biggest mistake I think that they're making is they're not being persistent. They're not actually pushing back when the sales rep, whenever the used car dealer is just saying no. And that's a big mistake that a lot of customers can make, because this dealer, this sales rep might be able to move a little bit on the car, but their first go-to is just going to say, no, the price is the price is the price. And you just need to make sure that when you're going in there, you're actually pushing back against this dealer, against the sales rep, to say, no, I really think you should lower the price.
Yeah, I think kind of coupled with that is going into it with the mindset of knowing how much your budget is for the car.
Yep.
So that you know exactly how much you actually can and even should spend on the car. And then once you've got that in mind, maybe starting out that kind of negotiating at a lower level than that. And yes, you're going to get that initial no, but, and I think you see this more with a more experienced customer as opposed to some of the younger customers sometimes, where the more experienced older customer is more likely to try to do a little bit of that haggling, that
Right.
old school haggling, whereas a younger, less experienced
They
individual,
just don't want to deal with it. They don't have the interaction with other people.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with it. And there's some people out there that just don't want to deal with the negotiation. They'll pay more money just because they don't want to have to deal with the back and forth. It's an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if we're on this side and we do it all the time, it's still uncomfortable every time you go into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what Nate brings up is a very important tool that you can have in your arsenal is set yourself a limit, have a budget, because at that point, it doesn't matter what the sales rep does. It doesn't matter what the car dealer wants. You have a line in the sand that you're not going to cross. And if that dealer will not come to that line with you because this is your budget, this is the out-the-door price that you need to be at, then you can go shop somewhere else. And that's an easy thing. I know I want you to be persistent and try to get to your to where you're getting some money off. But at the end of the day, if that dealer, if that sales rep's not willing to work with you within your budget, that's not the dealership that you need to shop at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with that is one of the, what I would say, most successful tactics that a customer can have coming in trying to negotiate is literally, let's say it's a $3,000 car and they know that their budget is $2,800 and they come in and they've got $2,800 cash and they don't have any more than that, and saying, this is all I've got. I'm much more willing to work with a customer like that than someone that's just trying to haggle just to haggle.
Yeah, because that customer with the $2,800, if they don't get $2,800, they're leaving. That sale's just
exactly
done.
Yep.
So definitely do that.
I think one of the first things that comes to mind when you say mistakes customers make for negotiating is coming in with a mindset of where they're like owed something, whether it's they think they're entitled to it or whether they're just flat out demanding that we do something for them.
So basically they come in and say, you're going to give me this price for this amount and I want it now.
Yeah, basically. So they come in and they think that everything in the world revolves around them and that is why we have to give them this better price than what we're selling the car for.
So what's that saying? You catch more flies with vinegar you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar.
Right, exactly.
So basically just when you go in to negotiate with a used car dealer, with a sales rep or whatever, just try to be nice. They're still a human being, and a lot of the times when you're dealing with these sales reps, they don't really have control over the money. So if they don't like you, they can just say no easily, because they don't have to sell a car to really pad their bottom line. A lot of them are on commission. Nate is not, but a lot of sales reps are on commission. But you know what? It's not worth the money most of the times to deal with just an awful person. So make sure you're nice to people when you come in and try to negotiate on these cars.
So I think another big issue that people have when they're coming in trying to negotiate is not necessarily negotiating in good faith for lack of better terms. I think coming in and either calling before they've even walked in the door or sending us a message online and any of our online advertising platforms, but coming in with an offer before they've even looked at the car or stepped on our lot.
Yeah, because at that point, we don't even know that they're serious.
Right.
Yeah, if you're calling us and trying to negotiate over the phone, you haven't even driven the car. You don't even know if you want the car yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to negotiate with you at that point.
Right. Yeah, every single person that sends me a message or calls and makes an offer without having looked at the car or visited us before, I'm going to tell them flat out no, and I'm not even going to think about it because there's no reason for me to think that they're actually a serious buyer at that point.
So what will always happen in that situation, if we were to say, you know what, we'll take $500 less on that car, they will get to the lot, and then they'll drive the car, and then they'll do what they're supposed to do. They find something wrong with the car, and then they want to negotiate again down from that $500, which is smart from the customer standpoint. I understand what they're trying to do, but you're usually not going to be able to negotiate before the seller even knows that you want to be in the car, because you're not a serious buyer at that point, and a lot of times they're going to just kind of push you aside because they're not thinking that you're serious.
Yep, absolutely.
So that point brings me into this point. What I do want you to do is I want you to find something wrong with this car. We stress big time to all of our customers to make sure you get the car checked out by your mechanic before you're actually purchasing the car. That's what I tell you all the time in these videos that I'm putting online on YouTube for you to watch. Make sure you're getting any used car that you're buying, whether you're buying it from me, whether you're buying it from your mom, any source. Make sure you get this car checked out by your mechanic before you're purchasing the car. Now, when you're going into negotiation and you've taken this car to your mechanic, you want to make sure you find something wrong with the car. Now, used cars, it doesn't matter if they're a year old, if they're 10 years old. There's some kind of maintenance that's going to need to be done. There's something that they're going to need brakes. There's going to be something wrong with this used car whenever you go to get it checked out. And you want to bring that to the table whenever you're trying to negotiate off the price of this car. So whenever you're coming to the table, make sure you're bringing whatever that next repair that's going to need to be done on this vehicle, even if it doesn't need to be done immediately, saying that, you know what, I know I'm going to need to do this to feel safe in the car down the road. I want to go ahead and have it done. And it's going to cost about $200, $250, my mechanic says. So let's take that off the car, and I'll feel more comfortable with that. When customers bring us bills like that, not necessarily bills, but quotes from their mechanic saying, okay, we know that this is going to need to be done in the future, that's a really powerful tool to have us take some money off, say, you know what, because we don't want to have to deal with it or do it anyways, and we feel better about that customer taking it and knowing that they got it done, and then it's on their mechanic to do it right, too.
Right, absolutely. And I would also add to that just because your mechanic might tell you, oh, this is going to be about $500 job, $300 job, whatever that is, but we might not be able to knock off $500 just because it's a $500 fix. Now, we might be able to meet you somewhere in the middle on that, and that's more likely to be the case.
And that's a good point. Yeah, even if it's something like I don't even know, like a brake job that's going to be $300, but the dealer, the sales rep's not willing to come off that full amount, maybe you can get half of it. But any kind of job that you can bring to the table, especially with a quote from a mechanic, that's very powerful for you to use in your arsenal when you're going to negotiate these cars.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the last big thing that, as far as a negotiation tactic that a lot of people have in their mind, is coming in with a lower offer. But as a mistake, the biggest mistake you can make when you're doing that is coming in with too low of an offer, just lowballing. So if you're looking at a car that's a $4,000 car, but you're offering less than $2,000 for the car, that's not even a realistic offer.
That's just a joke at that point. Yeah. It doesn't even seem like you're realistically wanting to buy the car at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when I get that offer,
the answer is usually just no.
It's just straight no. There's no, let me come down a couple hundred. There's none of that mindset at all. It's just a flat no. And so any kind of low ball offer is gonna almost get you laughed out of the room in a lot of places.
Right, and then it becomes absolutely just ridiculous, because where do you go from there? Because I mean, you're not meeting them in the middle at $1,000, because maybe you would be okay taking $300 off of a car, but you're not going to just say that. You're just going to say no, because if you would go and say, okay, I'll take $200 or $300 off the car, then that customer's going to come back and say, okay, well, we take $1,500 off the car, and we just don't want to get into that dialogue. It'll take too long. So be realistic whenever you're making offers on vehicles. I am one in the real world to actually lowball, but I know it's not the best way when you're actually going into a serious kind of business ordeal. So just know your audiences. That's one of the big things too. Yeah. Because if you're going into a busy car lot and they have halfway decent prices, which I hope that's only place that you're looking. If you go in there and try to get 30-40% off of a car, it's probably not going to happen, and they're just going to shut you down immediately.
Yep. And when you're in that haggling stage as well, never go backwards in your haggle. I actually see that all the time. I have customers that'll come in, they'll offer $500 less than what we're asking for the car, and when I say no, they actually go backwards, and that is a self-defeating
When you
strategy.
say backwards, you mean like $700 at that point?
Yeah, they will actually take more off of what their offer is, and there's no way that I would accept that at that point. Obviously.
Yeah, and that just doesn't make sense. Yep. All right, so I know you see my channel a lot, and you see a lot of the stuff that's going on, and brought Nate on. He actually deals more with the customers than I do on a regular basis, so I wanted to bring him in to give his expertise on it. So thanks for coming on,
Thanks for having me.
Make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.